Good morning and welcome to Errol's Eye On. I'm your host, Alan WAZNY. And on the line, Errol Vas. I've got you on the line there.
How you doing?
Terrific, Errol. I just got the notes from the producer, and I think there's been an error. Today's topic is Zambonis, how to drive them. Is that what we're how to drive them safely? Is that the right one, Errol?
That wasn't the plan, but I'd love to discuss.
This is that commercial. I know you and I talked offline about Zambonis. But there's a brilliant commercial with Tim Hortons, and have you seen it?
I haven't.
Oh God, well, because you were living in China, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's Sidney Crosby, and another, I can't remember I don't know who the other hockey players. They literally roll up to a Tim Hortons drive-through in a Zamboni. It's priceless.
Nice. Actually, I live 2 minutes from a Tim Hortons here in China, so
They've got Tim Hortons there.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's all over the place. So I live 2 minutes away from one. So the only thing is that the donuts aren't as good as they are back home. But I mean, it's still
it's in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Errol. Well, okay, that's going to be a topic. Tim Hortons in China, and literally, there's a great. I'm sure there's a lot of lots we can talk about there. But today's topic, Errol, I'm going to let you introduce it. I think it's offloading cognition.
Errol, yes, offloading cognition.
All right, so I'm just going to let you take it away, Errol.
Sure. So first thing I'll do is explain what offloading cognition is. So offloading cognition is the process of taking internal thought processes and externalizing them. And so the way that I can explain this the easiest and probably the best classic example is when you're going grocery shopping, instead of keeping all that information in your head, you write it down in a shopping list, and that's offloading cognition.
Wow. I mean, as soon as I saw the title, it wasn't the Zamboni that caught my attention, but it was because you probably had the same in management school at some point. It was called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. It's like basically you have one thought and your counterpart, everyone's got the other. Someone else has the other thought. Like you're kind of always apart, but it's not the same. But from what you're saying is like you got something in your head. If you don't write it down, you actually. I mean, you're offloading, so you get the proper, I guess, translation, as it were, or what?
Well, yeah, the main reason why you'd want to do this is just to alleviate your brain from having to memorize a bunch of things, from your brain having to process a bunch of things. And yeah, so the example I gave you was just a classic, writing stuff down on a list.
Yeah.
But today there's lots of good technology and software that allows you to utilize offloading cognition so you can be really effective both in life and in business. It keeps you organized, it keeps your head from exploding, and it keeps the clock ticking. So
okay, well, let's go. Literally, what made you think of this as a topic? Or I mean, it sounds brilliant and it makes sense, but is it just something that one day like you or something, where does this come from?
Well, I'm a psychology major. That's what my bachelor's is in. And I really only remember things from school if I find them interesting. And this was one of the topics that I found interesting from one of my psych classes, offloading cognition. So I always carried that with me because I thought it was such a cool, simple but cool topic, like taking it out of your brain and putting it somewhere else and making yourself more efficient. So that's why I've always tried to practice it in life.
Practice what you preach, isn't it? There's an expression in there.
Practice what I'm preaching. Yeah, for sure.
On the pulpit. But literally, this is brilliant because it makes. I mean, to-do lists, right? It's the endless to-do. Countless times in the past is like the to-do list. I just pick it up from the previous day because I never got down to the to-do list or never got it finished. So let's like what's good about this? What's bad about it? Give us your Errol's eye on this one.
Okay. So the good thing about offloading cognition or cognitive offloading is that it makes you more efficient. It's easier on your own brain, right? And it makes it so you're able to multitask and just do more. You're able to do much more. The negative side, though, and this is what you can actually find a lot of research on this, is that they say it kind of, I wouldn't call it brain decay, but if you're not using it, you kind of lose it. So there is some research that shows that it is causing maybe a little bit of loss in short-term maybe not short-term, just your overall memory You're not really flexing that memory muscle anymore, right? But I've always said, we're entering in such a technological period where we're literally becoming cyborgs with a phone in our pocket. So
Yeah.
I feel moving in this day and age, it makes sense to get good at utilizing technology rather than trying to fight against it.
But so, okay, so what do you, this is a silly thing, but you talk about cyborgs. So in order to get it from your brain down somewhere onto a list, you hook up wires to your brain, and so that it automatically goes. Is that the auto side, the tools?
That's not so distant future, but yeah, like the example I gave was writing stuff down on paper, right? But I mean, now there's efficient ways of doing this, and I said that we're almost a cyborg now, half man, half machine, because of the phone that we carry. If
Yeah.
you think about it, holding an iPhone, you have so much information at your fingertips. You can access maps. You can ask it pretty much any question and it'll know the answer. It can Google anything. It knows the weather. It knows directions, right? So we essentially are half man, half machine now, just through our interactions with technology, right?
Let's try
And
this now. Let's try it. Let's
sure.
try. I'm going to ask who Errol Vas is. So, hey Siri, who's Errol Vas? My Siri's not on. I think I disconnected. There's a disconnection. There's a cognitive dissonance between me and Siri right now. But this is brilliant though, Errol, because I mean going back to the to-do list, right? And then and as you said, the Google or whatever's at your fingertips through your phone, and nowhere, it literally is there. But you mentioned the words that impacts our memory. So I guess, but I have to remember everything. I'm not a walking encyclopedia. Most people aren't, but there are people that are. So I guess, because we're so computerized, the more computer we're going, is it something you're seeing that makes people less efficient or more efficient?
Well, I think that it's making people more efficient. And maybe if you took away the technology from those people, they wouldn't be able to handle their day or handle time management as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the computers aren't going anywhere, and usually you have your phone, so I feel like it just makes sense to get good at this stuff, right?
Okay,
And,
so how do you use it? So other than the proverbial to-do list and papers everywhere and little pieces of paper, sticky notes or whatever, how do you use this in a business setting?
Yeah, well, I'll give you examples of how I do my cognitive offloading. So first off, I like to, like you just asked Siri a question, because I do that all the time, and that's a really good example. Now, whenever I have something to remember, so for instance, when we scheduled this podcast, the first thing I did after reading the date and time is I go, hey Siri, remind me on Tuesday at 8 p.m. that I have a 9:30 p.m. podcast with Alan WAZNY.
Nice.
And it's boop, boop. Or you can say, and remind me on Wednesday and Thursday at this time that I have so I use that right away, so I never miss meetings. And the nice thing about that is it automatically syncs up to my Google Calendar.
That's right.
And my Google Calendar syncs up to some of my other softwares like Monday.com and stuff like that. So it's all connected. And the way that I start my day every day is I pull up my Monday.com time management app, and that's what I look at. What am I doing today? So essentially, whenever I get some information in everyday life that I need to remember, just by telling my phone, it schedules it in, and it keeps everything nice and scheduled for me. So that's how I use it.
But you are thinking, so you are using your brain, right? You're not.
Yeah, just a different way.
And it's more efficient because you're not having to write it down, or where's that piece of paper? You're finding it or syncing it.
Exactly, right?
Like literally write it down. Like that's the steps, right? Oh, I gotta create my to-do list on a Word or Excel or whatever, and have this list. And then that itself is another it's so inefficient. But you just did the voice skills. You bypassed. You went from to use an oil and gas, from gas to a solid or liquid.
That's a really good point to bring up, and it's about how efficient we can get in just making that communication. Making that communication between us and the machine, right? Yeah. So I don't have to turn on my computer, wait for it to boot up, go to a Microsoft Word list, type it in, save it. Now I can just talk to my phone, and it's automatically on a bunch of my devices on the cloud system. It's in all my calendars. So That's what I mean. We're going to get better at this, and it's going to get easier. And what you said about, do we like plug our brains into this stuff? There is, I don't know if this technology exists now, but that's kind of the route that they're going.
Well, the
That's the
artificial
route that they're
intelligence,
going.
where you
Yeah.
could have the thought, or at least if you have the Google Glass or the eyewear, you're
Yeah.
using you're that's just bizarre. Like, it's really, but you look at where the list, or you look, and then you bring the scroll it down, like in the movies they show it, where you just scroll down with your eyes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger
Exactly
did the
right.
best. Everyone knows Arnold Schwarzenegger can pull down the list of who's going to kill next. The Terminator.
Exactly right. Yeah, and that's another thing, right? So, even there's glasses that record now, right? So let's say, I mean, for a usage like crime, for law, you wouldn't really be debating stuff in court anymore because you'd have the video footage right there. That's another example of cognitive offloading, right? So
Yeah.
we do it a lot in everyday lives. Everyone's doing it at all times. It's just about, if you can become really efficient at it, that's how you can really utilize it to get ahead.
But I love that. I love the voice, as you said. You get up, and you can use it's. I've listened to voice skills, or how they, it's going to change. Give me, hey Siri, or Alexa, give me my list. Give me my news
Yeah.
for today. Or the forecast. What's the forecast today? And there's a nice whisper mod, if you've ever used an Amazon Echo, and you go, hey Siri, what's the temperature? Because you don't want her booming voice in the morning, right? And she literally whispers back. It's brilliant.
Yeah. It's. Have you ever seen that movie called Her, with Joaquin Phoenix?
Is that the one? Wait, I think I have. I don't know. I've heard of it, but maybe I haven't seen it. So what's the gist of the movie?
Basically, he gets an AI girlfriend. So it's this product that comes in the form of an earpiece, and
Yeah.
it syncs up with your computer and your phone and everything, and you can just have seamless conversations with this thing. And then he ends up falling in love with the AI, and then well, I don't know if I should spoil it. Maybe you can watch it, but yeah, it's the same thing of having these really personalized conversations with an AI.
But there was a movie which you described, the police one, and you probably saw it, that's why we get it from. They had they had to delete the memories of some people because they were showing the murder, or the murder. They literally recreate the video footage from their brain. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember that movie too. Is that with Tom Cruise, I think? Yeah.
I think so. There's probably several, but it's that kind of thing, right? It's just taking
Yeah.
the AI thing. It's like Black Mirrors. I don't know if you ever saw that series on Netflix, Black Mirrors.
I've seen it. I've seen that.
They're bizarre. Like
Yeah.
and it's
Seen an
kind of that
episode on
tech
that.
thing, right? Like the girl had she grew up, not her mother blanked out any negative things in her life. The dog barking at her, the man screaming at her, whatever. And so when she got older, she didn't know any. She was just she wasn't. But that just takes life itself, right? You're not offloading it. You're avoiding it. Cognitive avoidance.
Yeah.
So, all right, Errol, we detract here. This is good though, Errol, because once in a while we can get off. Errol's off on something tangent. We're gonna get the episode. Errol's off on tangent.
Yeah. I like it. We can kind of explore, and we just hop back on whenever we so please.
Okay, so let's give some examples of how you've used cognitive offloading. I like it. Actually, it rolls off the tongue better. Cognitive offloading than offloading cognition. But some examples, Errol, maybe some of your clients who've used it in the wild, where you've used this in the wild.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, I use it for my personal life all the time. If there's anything I need to remember, I use it. I'll schedule it on my phone, schedule it on Monday.com. Now, for work also, this is really good for managers because most managers are using some form of cognitive offloading. Most managers are, but let's say you're working with a team of, let's say you're managing just 10 people. Isn't an awful lot, but still that's 10 people, and it can get out of hand, right? So I use I sound like I work for these guys, Monday.com. I actually love this app. It's really good.
It's been brought to you by Monday.com. Thank you, Errol, for sponsoring it.
They should be. Yeah, so I use this, and basically whenever I'm able to give people tasks, I type it in on Monday.com, and then I'm able to visualize. I can see what everyone is doing. They can see what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest use I have of it, is managing myself and managing others.
So
So
if you're using at scale, I mean, do you get statistics on how you use Alexa or Siri? You know, that are you getting anything like that? Do you get it from Monday that you used? You know what I mean? Like you use the automation tool. That's an automation tool or voice skills.
hmm,
Do you get any data on that? I'm just curious. It's more
that's
of
a really
anything.
good question. I don't, that's something I would actually be interested in looking into. I don't get data on how much I'm using this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but that would be a really cool thing to look into. Monday.com does give you data on whether people are like completing tasks and if work is getting done on time and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I guess it really isn't kind of giving us any
But this is
insight into the.
brilliant. Like instead of if you're think of the manager. I mean, I'm just going back to my the times that the manual stuff I'd write for my assistant the next day when I was an audit partner. Right, I was an audit partner with Deloitte, and I literally the night before I'd make because I know I'm staying up late or whatever. I'm going to come later. She'll be there.
Mhm.
And I used to manually write, do this, do this. You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
efficient that would be to scribe. People used to do the voice. They used to use voice. The little whatever it was, the recorder, right? And then
Hmm.
even my mom, she did transcription or whatever in her day. She would type from the transcription from the insurance claims or whatever it was, and she would take the voice and literally with it on her head, and she'd just type out things. How amazing this could be used, right? Well, I
Yeah.
guess that's that translate like Google, not Google Translate, but it's literally I could take this right now. I don't know what it's called. There's Firefly. There's a few other tools. You probably know this better, and we can go into that. But on the Zoom call, it would transcribe this discussion. If we recorded it, it would transcribe, it would send you the transcription. Now it's still a
Yeah.
little bit rusty. It's like, whoa, the minutes. Think of minutes for the meetings of a real serious business meeting.
Hmm. And that's a really, really good point because that brings up another usage of cognitive offloading. So imagine that you have a sales pitch with someone over a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Instead of forcing that person to remember the conversation, because maybe that person has
Oh,
to take that conversation and
yeah.
pitch it to their manager or their director or their CEO. Instead, they get a transcript, so then it's easier for them to take that and spread that information in the company, right? Same as I actually was speaking with, I think about 7 different consultants this week,
Yeah.
getting quotations on certain things, some Amazon stuff, and the consultant I ended up going with, he gave me a Loom video. So it's an app called Loom, and
Yep.
basically you just record the video. So when I was going through all these multiple proposals from these different consultants, his really stuck out because it was better than any of like the manual notes that I took from the other pitches because I had it all there on a video and I could share it with colleagues really easily. And
Wow.
that's really what my other colleagues said. Yeah, I want to go with this guy. I like
He's
his
switched
pitch,
on, right?
and
He's
so.
he's kind of he's more efficient. He's already gets it. Let's Errol, since we're not on the video here, but I'm going to go to Google because I'm going to go and see what this Loom because I've heard of it. But
Hmm.
Loom bands, I don't know if you've heard of Loom bands. My daughter used to the Loom app. Is it Loom app? Let's go here.
Loom.
Loom website.
Async video messaging. I think that's what it's
World's best Loom voice. Is it a voice?
called. It's like a video app. Loom. You just type in Loom video.
There we go. Async video messaging for work.
That's it. Yeah.
Show it, say it, send it. So this is the next level. You were gonna give me some ideas on tools that help. I think this is brilliant, right? It's
Yeah.
basically the amount of company. Like even yesterday, it's like, Alan, are you taking notes? Because we're just having a business meeting and it was a 3-way discussion, and I did because I was like, well, but Matt, the dictation, it would be so more efficient. But if you're doing real time, kind of like minutes, like going back to the the lawyers who type out the minutes, there's no
Hmm.
clarity. Like this, your sales pitch. This is brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Because it avoids that. No, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what it said. Wow. Okay. So it says, show it, say it, send it. Record quick videos of your screen and cam, an essential tool for hybrid workplaces. Have you
Yeah.
used
It
this?
just
Have you
has.
used Loom or no? You just saw it with the guy,
After I
salesperson.
saw him use it, now I'm on it as well, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's huge, right? Because when you're doing sales, you might be doing your pitch to let's say a manager at a company, but maybe he isn't the decision maker. Maybe you're depending on him to represent your information properly to the decision maker, right?
Yeah.
And that's just there's room for error in that. Whereas if he has the video, he just takes that and shows the decision maker, and then you're not relying on him at all, and your chances of converting that sale go way up, right? So it gives you more control. You're almost forcing people to use cognitive offloading.
Well, Errol, you're onto something important, and I've told many people when they do pitches. So a lot of people pitch their 2-minute elevator pitch, whatever is their business, right? And they repeat that to the next investor or the next customer. It's a constant repetition, saying the same thing over and over. That could save time, and it's like is that live or is that Memorex? And so the guy or girl, that's just the one efficient way. To your point here, though, it's just to avoid any clarity. Is it? Yep, this is it. In a sales call, the countless things. Sales guy told me something different. This product doesn't work, but here's what he said. It's right there.
It's right here. Yeah.
Okay, so this is brilliant. Well, let's go back. So you've used it now. You've seen it in action, kind of a voice skill thing, and are your clients kind of now the scheduling of managers or scheduling staff? I mean, that's a simple way, but what about even like the tasks and they upload? Is it that sort of upload what I just did? Is it that kind of level yet, or no? That's not taking
like upload. Like, sorry, I don't quite understand.
So here's my task. I completed it. Here's my file. Hey Siri, can you take that file and send it to Errol now?
Definitely. Yeah, you can use that. You can use that through your phone as well, telling Siri to do tasks like that. And on Monday.com, you can mark tasks as complete and put the files on there, so that shares it with people as well. So there's a bunch of different levels of cognitive offloading as well, right? There's so many different levels to this, and we can even the sales example. I didn't really think of that coming into this podcast, and then just through the conversation, we see that there's lots of applications.
Well, this is the video, but so this is that it's really just taking the video and then it's giving dictation, right? But it's still it will take someone who has to go through it and make sure that the integrity of the translation, right? Like I'm just going back to my Firefly. I think it's Firefly. I'm not here to badger them or anything, but if you attach it to Zoom and then it gives you the dictation of you really need to work. It's the rough edges there because it's not a perfect. For one, you have pronunciations different than my pronunciation, so there's going to be some there's some going to be dissonance there in that translation, so that does take time. But it's still much more efficient than first trying to remember everything, and second to transcribe it yourself. Okay, so what tools? Okay, we've talked about Loom, the Loom bands. I just wanted to tell you, Loom bands were my daughter's. These rubber bands. It was a big craze about 10 years ago, and they're literally just little rubber bands, and they make bigger, they make bracelets and so forth.
I know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah.
So any other tools that to help cognitive offloading?
There's probably a ton. The stack that I use though is I use Siri because I'm on Apple. I use Google Calendar.
Yep.
I'm using Reminders on the iPhone. That's another app on iPhone. Yeah. I use Reminders all the time, and I'm also using like Monday.com, which I said, and then another one, and we've talked about this app in previous episodes, HubSpot, and that's just another form of cognitive offloading. It's a CRM where I can keep all of my customers on there and all of the conversations we have. I use HubSpot or EngageBay, both the same thing, and that then all the conversations I don't keep those in my head. It's all on the platform, right? So I don't have to remember what I said to each person. It's all there. So that's how I stay on top of things and stay sane.
It's incredible, Errol. You just literally brought me to the Filofax. Every year, you got an updated. I don't know. So that's the manual system of keeping contacts and names, right? And offloading that every year to updates from the manual. Then a little thing called was it the Palm Pilot? So I don't know if you remember the Palm Pilot.
Yeah.
And so I offloaded from my Filofax onto the Palm Pilot, and because to make it more efficient, this is early 2000s, right? To make it more efficient, they had a keyboard that attached outside, came out, and you could sit there with your little Palm Pilot, but you could offload everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'd carry out this paper, and I'd carry around this file. And then the next year, the updated Palm Pilot kit got the new Palm. This is great. And guess what? That calculator or the the keyboard didn't sync. It didn't work with it. I had to throw
Oh
that
no.
keyboard out. It was dumb. But the amount of time wasted offloading from paper, which is goes through my head. What was that guy's number again? And you put her number
Mm-hmm.
again, right? And you throw it on the piece of paper, and then you offload it to your Palm Pilot. Gosh, and today you got a new iPhone. Yeah, done. Do you want to sync all your contacts from your
Yeah.
It's
An
incredible.
iPhone sync is crazy. I got a new iPhone a couple months ago, and all I had to do was place it near my
Yeah.
old iPhone, and all the contacts and all the conversations, all my everything just slid onto this new phone. And I used my new phone. It almost didn't feel like a new phone because it was exactly
Oh yeah,
everything off my old
replicate
phone. It was
scary.
crazy. Yeah.
But
So
it's
that's it. I mean, we've been using cognitive offloading for a long, long time, and it's just getting more and more efficient.
well, even like some of the things like you're talking about with the way it Siri syncs with your calendar. It's like a macro or accessing a file, right? If you could teach Siri or Alexa how to access files, right, and send an
Mhm.
attachment, that's basically a macro. That's running a macro in the keystrokes, right? Which a macro, again, the old days of using Excel, you don't have to do it anymore. I don't think, if you're creating macros, it's like coding. But
Mhm.
that's it. It's teaching those keystrokes, access file, you know what I mean? Like backslash or whatever it is, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible how
This stuff is
advanced.
only going to develop. This stuff is just getting started, right? Like, I think the whole AI software is going to explode. It already has, but in these next few years, we're going to see it really explode. It's going to be exciting and scary. Um,
Well,
so
it's gonna be Black Mirror. Black Mirror. It just gets more
it's going to
creative. I
be a
mean,
Black Mirror. Yeah.
it'll be a new episode on it's a new series on Netflix. But no, but it does make us efficient. But it's still at the same time, we are using our brain because we're thinking how we can use, in our day to
Yeah.
day, right?
Exactly. It's just a little bit, it's a little, I think it's different areas of the brain, right? So my thing is, and I've never had that good of a memory. I've never been really on the ball until I started doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm a creature of habit, so I've just got into the habit of as soon as someone tells me something, I offload it, boom, get it into my system per se, and then I can rest assured, hey, I'll take care of it. And that really saves me a lot of stress, I'd say. I don't feel stressed when I have tons of stuff going on. All I know is I need to follow my Monday, follow my reminders, and I'll be okay.
But
That's how
today
I
is
that's how I
Tuesday,
get
Errol.
by.
Errol, it's
Yeah.
Tuesday. Oh my God, it's Tuesday. Where's Monday? What
That's
happened to
yeah,
Monday?
that's
No, Monday's
that's
with
a
you all the time.
really unique name they chose for their app. It's
Oh, it's the. I think I've done that stupid joke already before, but I guess what's the accessory tools? You know how you guys Slack. There's tools people just build on Slack, right? And there are
mhm.
tools that build on Salesforce forever has done that, right? Where this is a Salesforce. Amazon. There's people that just only focus on, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I think they're Shopify accessory. They build on that. So the Monday,
yeah,
what are the Monday ones called? Oh, we're Sunday. We're the day before. We're going to help you build, and whatever it is, right? That accessory tools, right? Tuesdays
competitive.
for this, Friday, like, and it's like happy days all over again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I just love this, and you're right. They're just simple. Like there was a God, people have these names like that, like simple stuff. I'll come up with those one day here. We'll just have the list of with their actual day-to-day names, like Alan. There's an Alan tool. There was an Alan. It was something in France. I can't remember what it was, and it was something with Alan, and it was I don't know. Like it's just people just here's a name, and we're gonna go with it. So
Yeah, I find that a lot. Yeah, you get the companies who just you don't really think of how strange the name is because you get used to it, but yeah, how people come up with them.
all right, Errol. Well, this has been cognitive offloading with Errol Vas. Errol, any last words on this topic? It's been fascinating. I really didn't think we'd go this way. It's incredible. It's been really good.
Yeah, I guess my final words are if you're not doing this right now, then you should really start today and you'll see the changes in your life. And the easiest way for you to start is just get a pen and a pad and start that way. And you'll get hooked on it, and you'll graduate to technology.
I remember listening. I'm sorry if I gave you the last word, but you can. I remember. I wanted to say this before, but 3-4 years ago, it was like, where's the the voice skills? It's taken to a new level, right? It's just taking the voice skill of Alexa and building. So skills building. I don't know, Errol. The task for you is to think of how else can we use this, right? And how we can add value. Something you do next time we just update on episode 4. Errol, the task for you is, what else have you used in the past 6 months or a month or whatever it is, right? Because I think this is brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. I'll keep exploring in this direction, and when I have some new stuff to share, I definitely will.
Well, Errol, thanks so much again for staying up late over in China. And it's nice and early for me. I just had the coffee. I've got a day ahead of me. So, Errol, thanks so much for this has been episode 4 of Errol's Eye on Cognitive Offloading.
Thanks a lot, Alan. Yeah, I've had a great time with this episode, and look forward to the next one.
All right, Errol, have a great day, man.